Hello guys. It sounds like you might be interested in 7th grade Uncle Sam and You Civics. So I'm going to give you some information about that course tonight. Let me start by telling you a little bit about who I am so you know who you're getting involved with and what I'm all about. So I am a teacher by trade. That's what my education is in the background. My undergraduate degree is from University of Wisconsin-Stout in early childhood education with an emphasis on special education. Then my master's is from Johns Hopkins in school administration and reading intervention. I have taught for DC Public Schools and Anne Arundel County Public Schools. For the last several years while I was teaching for Anne Arundel County Public Schools, I was also homeschooling my own children, and I had just reached that point of needing to make a choice between working with the schools or staying home with my own children. So I did make that jump, stayed home with my own girls. We have now been homeschooling for 9 years. So I have a 13 and a 15-year-old daughter. So definitely there for you guys if you have some questions about the homeschooling world and transitioning in, I'll help you out with that. So I've been with Bridge since they started the program. So it's been a few years, and this Uncle Sam and You class has been there from the pretty much at the very beginning. So I'm excited about that. We've been teaching this for a few years now. Students, if they've had me in the past, will definitely tell you that I do not like the winter. Even though I grew up in Wisconsin and it was in the cold all the time, I don't like being cold. So they'll hear me complain all winter long that it's cold and I can't wait for summer and I want to go to the beach. The beach and traveling are definitely my happy places. I enjoy exploring new places, going places, and just trying new things. So COVID, that's where it has hit me the hardest, is not being able to travel. I've lost quite a few of my international trips that I had been planning to do. So there's always 2022 and 2023. It'll come. So that is who I am. Now let's talk a little bit about the class. Oh, forgot about this. So remember when you're looking at a tutorial that the classes you're signing up for are sponsored by tutors. And I will be the tutor for your class, but you are still your child's homeschool teacher, and that's a partnership. When we do the back to school night, we definitely go through the whole roles of who does what, and I believe it's in the handbook as well. But as your tutor, I will provide you with instruction on Tuesdays and Thursdays, whether it ends up being on Zoom or if we're in person. Either way, I'm taking care of Tuesdays and Thursdays, but you as the parent and your homeschool teacher are responsible for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday instruction. I will give you assignments through the Google Classroom and on assignment sheets, but you are the homeschool teacher and you need to oversee that. I always like to remind parents that I live my life with the philosophy of God first, family second, and career third. So as much as I love my eXtend family and the children I tutor on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, my children need to be my priority in making sure that they're getting their work done as well. So you can email me questions, definitely. You can send me messages in the group me and I will get back to you with them within 24 hours. But you need to remember that you're teaching your children on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This is not a show up on Tuesday, Thursday in the classes that Ms. Simonson is doing, and that will cover everything. You are still responsible for being their teacher and overseeing their curriculum programs. Okay, now the curriculum. I'm using Uncle Sam and You, Part 1 and Part 2 by Knotgrass Community. We have used this program for a few years now. It runs smoothly, it works nice in the classroom, and leads to some phenomenal discussions in the classroom. The textbooks are big. They cover a broad range of topics. You only need to buy the textbooks. You do not need to buy the tests or the student notebook that comes with it. Instead, I've rewritten the questions that go with it, and I will provide you with this spiral bound workbook. Topics that are covered in this course. We start the year talking about civic rights versus civic responsibilities, and the rest of the course really builds off of that because we continually go back to that. We learn about our founding documents. We learn about the local and state and federal governments, the branches of the government, that checks and balances system to keeping things equal. We learn about the political parties, the voting process and voting rights, state and country capitals, and the branches of the armed forces. Now, there's a whole lot of other topics in there, but those are the broad range topics, the big ones that we will be hitting. I like to remind people at this point that this is an overview course that gets your child ready for the high school level government or civics course. So even though we don't dive really deep into each topic, it gives them that overview so that when they get into the high school class, they aren't going, what are you talking about? Okay, they have some background on it. Now, a whole lot of our course has to do with discussion. We have some very deep discussions in our class, and I reference this phrase, this saying with the class often. Being taught to avoid talking about politics and religion has led to a lack of understanding of politics and religion. What we should have been taught was how to have a civil conversation about a difficult topic. So in our class, we host a debate. We host many Socratic seminar discussions, and we just have discussions in class all the time. And many times they are on hard topics. Particularly right now in our country, we are facing some hard topics. And our children, they need to talk about it. What I've found from parents in past classes is that our discussions in class have led to some phenomenal dinner time conversations at home. I always encourage our students, talk to your parents about this at home. And if we reach some of those conversations that we can't quite come to a full head on and an understanding of, I will say, talk to your parents about this. What do your parents believe about this? I'm always referencing and then sending them back to you. But my ultimate goal in having these conversations with our children is for them to understand that you have to listen to other people. You have to see things from multiple sides. You have to understand where other people are coming from. And although it might not change our opinion on things, we need to be able to understand other people. We also need to understand that even though we don't agree, we can still get along. And that happens so often in our class when we're talking about topics. People will have different standpoints, especially on politics. But we can still be friends and we can still get along with things. So that is a huge bonus to this class, is it just allows our students to have an open conversation about difficult topics and always bringing them back to our families. What I have done in the past is when topics get to be extra sensitive, I will send out emails to the families and say, just so you know, today in class, here's what we discussed, so that it gives you a heads up to talk to your kids about what they're thinking on the topics. As their tutor, I always refrain from giving my personal opinion, especially on politics. I'm not going to tell them who they should vote for or how they should believe on a particular issue, because this is their choice. They're making these decisions right now. I bring up points. I often bring up counterpoints. If their discussion is going one way, I'll say, okay, well, wait a minute, let's think about this as well. And we just have an open dialogue about conversations. So when you're looking at this class, I just want you to keep in mind, we do have difficult conversations. Make sure your students are ready to have some of those difficult conversations. And make sure that you're ready to have those difficult conversations with your students as well, because it will leak home and you'll have some conversations. Trust me, I did when my daughter was in the class too. Now, grading for this class. It will go on 30% of the grades will be assignments and projects, 30% will be tests. If the class is virtual, 30% will be posted discussion questions. If it is in person, 30% will be classroom activities. That's the difference, virtual or in person, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. And then 10% for participation. Please note that late assignments are not accepted past 2 weeks. You have a 2-week grace period from the date that it is due to finally making sure it's turned in. But beyond that 2 weeks, do not ask me to go back and grade, because I'm teaching several classes with eXtend. And if every student was turning something in late, that is a lot of extra work to go back and do. You will be able to see your students' grade in Google Classroom at all times. So it is very helpful for you to look at it that way. Prior to the end of each quarter, I will be sending out a message to parents saying, please check your grades in the Google Classroom. Tell me if there's anything that is marked incorrectly. Because it is possible, I'll tell you right now, I'm looking at my tablet right here. There are sometimes I'm grading assignments on the tablet and I click return, but it doesn't click through on Google Classroom. It happens. So I need to have parents help me with that prior to sending out the final grade reports. And I will send out full printed grade reports for you every quarter so that you can use those for your homeschool review and look at progress for your student. Okay, but I find it very helpful with the Google Classroom to be able to see how your student is doing at all times. And me as a parent, I pull it up on my phone all the time to say, oh, it looks like you're supposed to be doing this. Do you have that complete? And I'm in love with that feature of the online component, having that there. So that is Uncle Sam and You Civics in a nutshell. Hopefully we will see you guys in the fall.